You're listening to The Pivot Point, where we unpack the defining moments that shift careers and lives. I'm your host, Laura Dionisio, founder of Lead Intact, and my mission is to spotlight the raw, real stories behind career pivots, the fears, the hopes, the messy middles, and the bold decisions that follow. If you're feeling stuck or quietly wondering what's next, I hope these stories help you see yourself a little more clearly and inspire you to start moving toward your own dream life. Let's begin. Is it just me, or do the holidays make you go a little crazy? At the time of this recording, we are in between the holidays. So I live in America. We're in between Thanksgiving, Christmas, which is what I celebrate, and New Year's Eve. And I really just feel like this time of year is something special. So I was going on a walk, what I like to call a gratitude walk. And I was just thinking about how I actually really love this time of year because I live in New York now, but the majority of my family lives in Southern California. So usually I fly there. And I was just thinking during this walk, like, wow, the chance to be with family. And I get to catch up with my cousins. I get to see my aunts and uncles. I was looking forward to it. And then my mind started to spin like, I just left my corporate job. I'm going to have so many questions. Like, they're going to be like, what is she thinking? Laura had such a successful corporate career. It's not safe. That's like the dumbest thing you've ever done. I went from a state of gratitude to like anxiety and trying to come up with a plan, trying to come up with all these worst case scenarios of like what questions I'm going to be asked and like how I should answer them. And oh my God, I need to regulate myself. Meanwhile, none of this is actually currently happening. It may not even happen. Can you relate to that? And with family specifically, it's like what I have found to be true for me and for my clients and my friends that I talk to, it's like we are in our bubble like the rest of the year and we are doing our like self-growth or personal development. We're feeling good. We're learning how to set boundaries. We are working with our inner child. We're doing all these things. And then it's like, the moment you walk through your childhood home, you're suddenly 12 again. Is it just me? And then add to that, with it being the end of the year, January 1st is coming. It's like, I get to reinvent myself and I get to be this whole new person. And all I have to do is just sign up for that new gym membership or do all these things. And let me just cram it all in January. And I'm magically going to be able to carry that through the rest of the year. I'm not that right now, I will say. I will give grace to myself. But the thing is, I've definitely been that person. And as I was going on this walk and really just watching my thoughts, this is what we learned as part of the adult chair, which I am a master certified coach in the adult chair. So that's like my favorite tool to use. It's like, it's not that you make your thoughts wrong. It's not that you judge yourself for having the thoughts, but more like what we call when you're seated in your adult chair, you don't let yourself become enmeshed with the thoughts. You don't attach to it. You just kind of watch it happen. And as I did that, I realized, you know what? All of these thoughts I'm having, the concern about what is my family going to say about me leaving corporate, successful almost 2-decade corporate career? What are some of the judgments that they're going to say with the choices I've made? How am I seeing myself by the end of the year if I don't feel like I'm doing the push? And how much can I cram into the month of January so that I can set myself up? All of these thoughts, these scenarios, none of it is actually real. What's actually real, like in that moment, was I was going on a walk. And I just realized, wow, I'm freaking delusional. Hear me out. Because if you were saying yes to any of the scenarios that I was talking about and your mind is going and you're like, no, Laura, but that's what makes me really good because I'm a planner and because I can anticipate worst case scenarios, that makes me really awesome at my job and in life. And maybe, okay, like for sure, I've gotten a lot of accolades for being able to do that in my job. Maybe even some friends like, wow, you thought of all this. But here's the thing, like that 15 minutes or so that I was kind of like spinning in my head, not really necessary. They may or may not happen. So like spending the time and energy to think about these worst case scenarios and what would I say and in the meantime, by the way, your brain doesn't know the difference between what's real and what's not. So your body is reacting as if it really is happening. You're putting yourself through stress for something that's not even real, for things that are delusions, okay? And I like to laugh at myself. I don't know about y'all. Because again, I'm not here pointing my finger, don't do this. I'm saying these are the thoughts that I was having, right? So I am like in the Delulu boat with you. Realized if I'm going to be delusional, I may as well pick my own Delulu, right? Because your mind, that's what it does. It pumps out scenarios and things like that. But here's the thing that I didn't realize until, I don't know, like maybe just a few years ago. You can actually control the direction of your thoughts. I used to say, well, I can't help it. It's my mind. And like, it just speaks like that. You can direct it. You can direct it. And today I want to share like a fun way, if you will, that I invite you to direct your thoughts. Okay. I call it choosing your Delulu. Okay. Because here's my thing. If you're going to be like delusional, which is what it is when you're making up scenarios in your head that may or may not even happen. And again, like your body, your mind doesn't know what's real and what's not. If you are gonna step into Delulu mindset, you might as well choose a Delulu that's gonna serve you. So first, I have come up with 4 types of Delulu behind door number 1. This Delulu is the anxious clairvoyant. This Delulu whips out a crystal ball and starts cranking out worst case scenarios like it's going out of style. You choose this one and you'll dive into endless plans to fix imaginary disasters, followed by even more worst case scenarios and more plans. The result? Overwhelm and guaranteed analysis paralysis. Put a hand up if this has been you. I'm going to put both hands up. My whole identity for the majority of my life, so I'm almost 40, so probably over 2 decades of my life, because it wasn't until like the past couple of years that I let go of this, I was the anxious clairvoyant. And even though I knew that I was putting unnecessary stress in my body every time I would picture the worst case scenarios, it is how I felt safe, how I felt good about myself. And looking back, the results overwhelm and guaranteed analysis paralysis. True. I was so busy time-wise and energy-wise thinking about all the ways that something could go wrong that I would completely disconnect to what I actually wanted, and then I wouldn't end up taking any action at all. So a simple example, I talked about this in one of my previous episodes, is when I first realized that I didn't want to be in upstate New York anymore. This was maybe, it was 3 years before I actually made the move. So what happened was a desire came up. I loved being in upstate New York, and it's just time for me to be back in a city. And before I could fully connect to that desire, the anxious clairvoyant in me, I stepped into this Delulu, the anxious clairvoyant. And I was like, how am I going to do that? What about my job? Moving sucks. Do I really want to do this? What about all my connections? And then I just started making plans. I started making plans like, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a spreadsheet and I'm going to choose the cities and I'm going to break this down and I'm going to visit each city and live as if I like spend a week there and, make an assessment in each one. And let me tell you, yes, I did that. By the way, I did that. And I didn't end up doing anything. In fact, I was so caught up in the plans, the scenarios, the overthinking, the making sure that I have plans on plans and plans in case any of these things happen. I was like thinking about, okay, and then if I get fired for this job, I could do this job. And then I can maybe I should start connecting with this person. Like completely, my mind was so preoccupied with the worst case scenarios and planning for them that I didn't actually end up making a move. And it wasn't until 3 years later, the pandemic hit, everything shut down when I finally reconnected to my desire. Okay? That is why behind door number 1, anxious clairvoyant, I encourage you to walk back out of that door and consider, another delulu. Okay? All right, moving on. Behind door number 2, the whimsical optimist. This delulu pops on rose-colored glasses and showers you with dreamy, what if everything goes perfectly? Visions. It's all peace, ease, and a carefree attitude because obviously it's all going to work out. So why bother lifting a finger? And even when it doesn't, this delulu keeps painting rosy, reality detached pictures. Honestly, who needs reality anyway? Reality is like, so last season. Okay, I have to admit, this has never been me. And listener, if this is you, I admire your optimism in the face of things that are happening right now in the world and also like in your life. I'll be so honest right now, I am not a fan of the whimsical optimist. But even as I say that, I wasn't all that much better being an anxious clairvoyant because in both cases, you don't end up doing anything. So the whimsical optimist is like, okay, all right, this is probably going to be so unpopular, but I'm here to be real. I came across the documentary The Secret, like maybe it must have been 12 years ago or so, a long time ago. And I was watching it and it got to the point where it talked about you don't need to work hard. Like, for example, if a young boy wants to have a bike, rather than bugging his parents about the bike, he just wants to want it hard enough and then it'll come. I had to stop the documentary right there because I was just like, I don't believe where you just want something bad enough and it comes to you. I believe in taking action. Even 12 years ago, this was my stance. I understood the concept of what it was saying, how if you are focused on what you want instead of the obstacle, then some solutions, some creative solutions may come to you because you're so focused on I'm going to get the thing or do the thing or whatever that's your mind's going to be attuned to that. I was on board with that. But my interpretation, so I will say maybe I misunderstood the point of the documentary. At the time, this is just my interpretation of what it was saying. I didn't agree that it was enough to want it. I think you still have to take action. You must take some action towards it as well. It's kind of like you're meeting your desire, like you're walking towards it and it's walking towards you type of thing. So anyway, the whimsical optimist, not my favorite, not gonna lie to you. I also call this toxic positivity. Like I think there is a real growth and need to acknowledge that not everything is peachy. Not everything's peachy. Not everything is like, what is the saying? Something in roses. You insert the rainbow phrase here. And I also am very careful now when I do this work in personal development and also even like spirituality that it's important to acknowledge the hard things that are happening, the not so great things, the feelings that feel like they just really suck, because that's the path to growth. Is you need to be able to like clearly see these things and feel these things. Otherwise, it's spiritual bypassing. So if you are resonating with the description of door number 2, whimsical optimist, I invite you to also walk through the door and pick another. Okay. Behind door number 3, this is the overnight reinvention delulu. This delulu shows up every January 1st with a fresh planner, a color-coded schedule, and the audacity to believe that sheer intensity will turn you into a brand new person overnight. It assumes discipline can replace identity. Discipline, at least for the first 30 days, and that going hard for a few weeks will undo years of patterns. Spoiler alert, it usually leads to burnout, shame, or quietly ghosting your goals by mid-January. This door is not transformation. It feels good, right? Because motivation is like, let's go, Rocky going up the stairs. It feels really good, but it's a delulu because real transformation happens in a sustained day-to-day action that you take towards that person you're looking to become. Let's take the gym, for example. I have been this person, by the way, before fitness became my thing. I was the person who signed up January 1st for the gym. And I was like, this time it'll be different. I'm going to stick to it. I'm motivated. I could feel that fire inside me. And I think I did it for like maybe 3 weeks. And then I was like, oh, like I'm tired today. Oh yeah, like I have to stay late at work. I can't do it. That's not how it works. Because the thing is, motivation or even the passion or even inspiration, these are fleeting. Okay, we're not meant to stay there. It's meant to propel us into action. So you took the action, great. What you also have to do is to really be clear about not just like, yes, the gas, so to speak, of me going to the gym is because of this feeling of passion and motivation and inspiration. Instead, while you're feeling that motivation, inspiration, you ask yourself, okay, what is going to bring me through beyond like when this feeling of motivation fades? Okay. And for me, what finally got me is, health is very important to me. And I would like to be able to walk in my old age, like 80s or so. I would like to get that sense of like accomplishment that going to the gym consistently will give me beyond just that feeling of like, yeah, I got this, Rocky, dun, 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 It's important to really get clear about what's going to take you through to like beyond just the first 2, 3, or 4 weeks. Okay. So that is the overnight reinvention delulu. This one takes action. It's just not like a sustained action. And we don't want that if we want to actually change our identity. Now, the final delulu, and this is the one that I ultimately have decided to walk through. I'm not going to lie. Sometimes I still walk through the anxious clairvoyant. But I notice it, right? Hopefully these descriptions are, descriptive enough, but also like not so serious and like funny enough that you're like, okay, fine. Maybe I'm a little bit anxious clairvoyant. Maybe I'm a little bit overnight reinvention delulu. Once you become aware and you're like, oh shit, I'm in delulu phase, I highly encourage you, and I'm talking to myself here as well, to go behind door number 4, the hopeful hero. Cue the superhero pose and dramatic cape flutter. This delulu acknowledges the odds are stacked, then fires you up with an inspiring, yes, you can pep talk. You're suddenly the brave underdog destined to save the day. Do you have a plan? Nope. Are the odds in your favor? Not at all. But hey, your legendary courage will be the stuff of stories for generations. Honestly, even just reading that, I just got full body chills. Doesn't that sound like if you're going to be in Delulu world, thinking about things that aren't actually true, may never be true, then you might as well pick door number 4, hopeful hero. So I hope this was helpful. I hope this is a little bit tongue-in-cheek so that you can set yourself up to be in a better position around the holidays, for the new year. And if you're like, okay, I would like to be Delulu door number 4 hopeful hero, I just don't know what that looks like in the context of my career or where I am in my life, and you're feeling like you could use more support, I'm here for you. Book a free 20-minute call, and I'd be happy to support you. And remember, the hopeful hero always says, proceed as if success is inevitable because it is. All right, friend, that's it for today's drop. If this episode hits something deep, don't just sit with it, act on it. Share this with a friend who needs to hear it, and then head to www.leadintact.com to grab your free heart-aligned career transition starter or book a free 20-minute call with me. I'm here when you're ready to stop feeling stuck and start moving toward what you really want. Catch you next time.